Tom here, Flip Anything USA. I'm gonna give one of my commercial properties a little bit of a facelift. You can see this is kind of an old, ugly building. It's not that old actually, but it's ugly. It's got this overhang, shingled, and it's just not very modern. So I'm gonna modernize this thing. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. You don't wanna miss my channel, I've been doing it for years. What's gonna happen is I'm gonna take all those shingles off and I'm gonna put on a facade. I'm gonna bring it straight up. See how my hand is? That's what's gonna happen. It's gonna be straight, just like that. It's gonna be flat. In fact, I'll show you the plans. To do something like this, I gotta remove a flagpole today right now. In fact, you can see I got my buddy Antonio over there. He's gonna take this flagpole down. We're gonna move it somewhere else or we'll replant it here somewhere. So, modernizing your building. You know, I don't like to spend a lot of money if I don't have to. And you can see it's just kind of ugly. And I've got a tenant moving out that's been with me for years, and you know, they're paying me a decent amount of rent, and so they're moving out. So I got 4,000 square feet coming available in this property. So this is an opportunity to not inconvenience. Anyhow, this represents the building. What's gonna happen is that angle that you see, well, this is gonna be framed, steel frame, and then I'm gonna cover it with a real tough aluminum type covering. It'll last forever. It's like most of my commercial buildings, a storefront. And I can add glass underneath this and everything else. So got a dumpster, 40-yard dumpster dropped. The scissor lift, which unfortunately I have one of these scissor lifts, but mine's broken. So I have to rent this one for $2,400 a month, but I'm hoping to get mine fixed so I can send that thing back soon. The guys that are up there, what's gonna happen is, it's Friday right now. My business in the back here is closed today, so we're gonna just start ripping up this side. Take all these shingles off that you see here, and then we're gonna get busy steel framing what's gonna be the new facade. So we're starting in the middle here. We're gonna pull some shingles off here, remove the plywood, and then come in and take a look at the framing, exactly what we got. So they've been a couple hours into it. So what we'll do is we'll end up coming out here, steel brace, tie back in. Water will flow back that way onto the roof. You can see they've already stripped a lot of the plywood off, and what we're gonna do is frame this out here with steel studs, and then it's gonna be more like this, straight up. Whenever you're remodeling, you wanna make sure you are especially considerate of your other tenants that are in the building. And you can see they're sweeping up, they're cleaning up, they're making sure every nail is picked up, and I saw a few strays I picked up. A lot of times we'll drag a magnet. If you guys don't know what a magna rake is, or a magnet rake, a long wide magnet. Whenever there's remodeling going on, I'll drag that magnet rake through the grass, even over the concrete. Sometimes you, even though it's concrete, there's sometimes you miss stuff. You can see all the material that's been ripped off. The length of this building, it fills up pretty quick. You can see this cable behind me right here. And now take a look up here at this mansard it's holding a parapet wall, meaning this part of the wall you see here stands up above the roof. The reason those are apart from each other is because they never got nailed on and braced originally. Sometimes stuff like this gets overlooked and it becomes a big problem later on, and this would have been a big problem. That cable that we tied in over there, just that little bit of tension is what was pulling this parapet wall this way. It was separating, and actually you could see it even bowing out a little bit. So you can see those are notched. That is no good. So here's coming from the other direction. You can see these are away from the parapet wall and nice and clean. As we go this way, you'll begin to see where they start to get notched. And that is what I didn't like. And now they're removing them. So back on the commercial facelift, I'll call it. This is what's representative of the box that we're going to be having going down the whole length of the building. So you can see they've got these top tails basically sticking out, and then eventually you'll see it frame in like a square, and then that's a cross member strut to keep it square. Anyways, it's coming along nicely. Tom here, making pretty good progress here. Got one side done, and we're gonna go across the front today. Probably most of that basic framing will be up by probably Tuesday next week. What you can see is it's all framed in neat. Now this is the mansard overhang, but it's flush front, 7 feet tall, allows the traffic over here on the freeway to see it. much better visibility and signage. Also behind me, what used to be kind of a carport here, and then on the other side of it, it's more of the same. That's going to go all the way across the front there. Just give it much better visibility from the street. I got a little strip center across the street from me here. And I didn't go all the way around the building because there was no need to. You can see what's old. You see the old style roof? That's what was all the way around the front. And now it comes to an end here. This thing comes around, and that's how that is. And I see my builder. That's my lift right there. In fact, I have a video on that about when I bought that for cheap. Yeah, what they're doing is they're putting on the plywood surface, and that'll make it rigid and strong. But also you can see they're capping it. See up under there, they're capping the top of that. And then what they'll do is, well, there's a roll of tape about 6 inches wide, and they'll end up taping that whole top edge and on the back edge and any seams. And then that way, while it's at this state, in this level, rain can rain and won't get inside. The other thing, they'll leave this bottom off until we have an inspection. An inspector will come in and inspect it, and then he'll pass the framing, and then they'll cover it. And then ultimately, that whole thing will be covered when I can figure out what I want to cover it with. All right, that's the last piece of metal. You can see we got all that support stuff pulled down. You saw the picture earlier. Now these posts will cut off. These will be 3 new parking spots. And you can see it's all coming along here nicely. And that steel will get hauled away soon. And then you'll see this will get filled in immediately. And it'll be one nice storefront all the way across. So you guys can see now it's coming together. It's coming together. Middle void is filled in. They're still going to put some structural steel in there around this front and around the side, aside from the metal framing that you see. But we can basically cover the top here and cover the face with the plywood, and it still leaves it open for the inspectors to come in and do what we call the framing inspection, and they can see that everything's done right. So I want to tell you something. When you hire people to do work, it's ultimately, it falls on you to make sure everybody's doing their job correctly. I've been involved with construction my whole life, so I've got a good eye. I know straight, I know level and plumb and square, know what to look for, know what's important. Ultimately, they got off. I was telling them from the beginning, pull a line from one end to the other. Even though the main builder is very good, knows what he's doing, some of the underlings, the guys that work for him, aren't as good. You know what? I had to call him on it. It wasn't straight. And I told him, I said, man, I'm not going to have brand new work be crooked. I have a thing I say, you've heard me say it before. I don't like to fix brand new work, even though that's what we're doing right now. We're fixing it. Because one thing I really don't want to do is have inadequate brand new work. They've had to basically take a lot of this stuff apart and put it back together again. Everything should be perfectly straight. And now they're straightening it up, and it will look great in the end here now. All these points should line up perfectly. Looking pretty good. It looks pretty straight. But now take a look down this way, and you're going to see how everything goes to hell. 30, 40 feet down there. Everything starts getting kind of cattywampus and is pulled out. They got to straighten all that stuff out. That's 2.5 by 2.5 by 3/16, and those are 4x4 angles, also 3/16. That'll be going up there. Steel structure within the steel framing. Anyhow, this metal has been going up, and then you can see below me, this is structural steel. There's our welder up here, assistant back there, cutting things to fit. And you can see these brackets that we're putting in, the steel ones. And then there'll be a piece of angle that'll lay there and hold all those together. So we're putting in the steel now, all that structural steel. And now he's welding in the angle, you see right here. Okay, so with a little help from my welder buddy. But anyhow, we got it up there. And all I can emphasize to you is don't waste time doing anything. Get it done. Get your for sale signs up, get your for rent signs up. If you see a sign that's for sale, be the first one to call on it. That's how I made my fortune. It's just not screwing around and just getting the business, getting things done. All right, we're finally to that point. We're completely wrapped with the Tyvek. Now we can start putting on the finished metal. Day we've all been waiting for, because we're getting really close to being finished. Putting on the finished metal. Well, it's like a tongue and groove, more or less. But it's metal. Getting started is always the most important thing, These guys had already laid about, I don't know, 10 feet of this and sent me a picture, and I was like, whoa, stop. I could see a blem in the metal, and it had to do with the way it was being screwed down. Again, you gotta watch your jobs. It doesn't matter who's in charge, especially when you're buying material. This is why you always should make your carpet guys install it. Let the same people that sell you the carpet install the carpet. Because what happens when the job gets screwed up, they blame each other, and each one's blaming the other, and then you're sitting there going, shit, neither one of them's taking responsibility. You have one do it all, and then they got to take full responsibility. This is the issue I caught. It flares. Now, when they're shear, when they cut through it, it probably wasn't as sharp as it should be. This flared when they cut instead of just sheared. They could have had a better jig for cutting. You can see by my finger, it creates a little bit of a gap. That's exaggerating. Instead of flush and parallel, a little gap. Well, it's just not as tight and clean as it should be. All right, the face is done. Still got to go around the corner, but the overhang, we're putting up the material, a 1/2 inch plywood up underneath. We got the front done, but right now we're on a roll. Everything looks really good. These guys are jamming on underneath, getting the under portion done. All I got to hang is some security cameras under there and a little paint, and we'll be in good shape. So we're just doing one panel at a time here. That's how they go. They go up, they slide down. Put about 3 screws in each one as they lap over each other. And we have to keep an eye on it. If we sink them too deep, they begin to distort the profile of the metal. We're so close to being done. These guys are they're putting the top cap on. I believe this material you see right here. I got to get a big for-lease sign. That's what's coming up next. Hey, Tom here. We're finally done. Metal siding that makes up this thing is complete. There's been a few hiccups on this job. So me and the contractor I hired, there's a little tension, but I mean overall, it's fine. It looks good. It's nice and clean. And I saw it from the freeway, a lot of viewing from the freeway. So that's going to be good for the new clientele. I'm going to get a giant for-lease sign. Probably spans, 25 feet wide by maybe 5 feet tall. A really big for-lease sign. And I'm going to make it so it's visible from that freeway. Now that's a for-lease sign. That thing's over 20 feet long. Learn how to make millions of dollars in real estate. I've made tens of millions over my lifetime, and I'm showing people how to do it. Get in my free webinar. I have it every Thursday, 7 p.m. Central. Go to the link below, flipanythingusa.com/webinar. Sign up for it. You can talk to me face to face if you want. Don't waste any time. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. You don't want to miss my channel. I've been doing it for years.